When you rent an isolated cabin on Airbnb, the first thing you do at night is lock the heavy deadbolts. You punch in the security code, you draw the blinds, and you assume you are keeping the dark woods out. But a locked door only keeps you safe if the house is actually empty. Last winter, my friends and I rented a massive cabin in Oregon. We locked every door. We thought we were totally alone. At 2 a.m., I woke up thirsty. I walked into the pitch-black kitchen and saw my friend standing in the dark. I asked him to hand me a bottle of water. He quietly slid it across the counter and walked away. It wasn't until the sun came up and I saw what was physically smeared onto that plastic water bottle that I realized my friend had been asleep upstairs the entire night. We didn't lock the woods out. We had just paid to lock ourselves inside with a stranger. It was late January. Me, Jake, Aaron, and Luis. We rented a massive 3-story custom timber cabin about an hour outside of Bend, Oregon. It was beautiful, but it had that weird, slightly uncomfortable layout that a lot of custom rentals have. Too many long hallways, strange angles, and locked doors. You know the doors I'm talking about. The ones with the cheap brass padlocks, or the keypad deadbolts that have a little laminated sign reading, "Owner's Closet, do not enter." There were 3 of those doors in this house. 2 small ones in the upstairs hallway, and 1 massive, heavy steel door at the end of the main floor kitchen that led down into the basement. The listing said the basement was an unfinished utility space, strictly off limits. We didn't care. We had the run of the rest of the house. The first night, we unpacked the cars, punched the digital code into the front door, and locked the deadbolt from the inside. We were miles from the nearest neighbor. It was snowing heavily. We were completely isolated. So, we made noise. If you want to hide the sound of a heavy steel door unlocking, there is no better cover than 4 guys on vacation. We turned the living room surround sound system up. We fired up the massive hot tub on the back deck. For 3 hours, the house was just a chaotic mix of heavy bass vibrating the floorboards, the roaring 100 decibel jets of the hot tub, and us yelling over the music. Around 1 a.m., the cold finally got to us. We shut off the hot tub, killed the living room speakers, and the house went dead quiet. Aaron and Luis crashed in the upstairs loft. Jake took the guest room on the main floor. I took the couch in the living room, directly adjacent to the open kitchen. The silence of a house that big, out in the snow, is heavy. It presses against your ears. I fell asleep to the sound of the wind hitting the massive windows. I woke up at exactly 2 a.m. The air in the cabin was bone dry from the fireplace, and my throat was killing me. I threw off my blanket and walked the 15 feet in the dark toward the kitchen to get a bottle of water. The kitchen was pitch black, except for the harsh, white, rectangular glow of the open refrigerator door. Standing in front of the open fridge, silhouetted entirely by the bright light, was a man. He was wearing a dark, heavy flannel shirt and a faded beanie. He had his back to me, looking at the shelves. When you are half asleep in a house with 3 of your friends, your brain doesn't process threats. It processes routine. I naturally assumed it was Aaron, who had been wearing a beanie earlier that night. I didn't yell. I just rubbed my eyes, leaned against the kitchen island, and kept my voice low so I wouldn't wake Jake. "Hey," I whispered. "Toss me one of those waters, man." The silhouette didn't flinch. He didn't speak. He just calmly reached his hand into the fridge, pulled out a plastic Kirkland water bottle, and slid it across the smooth marble countertop of the island. It stopped, right in front of my hand. Then, he quietly pushed the refrigerator door shut. The kitchen was plunged back into pitch blackness. I heard his bare feet pad softly across the hardwood floor, walking away from me, down the dark hallway, heading toward the back of the house. I unscrewed the cap, drank half the water, left the bottle on the counter, and went back to sleep on the couch. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Aaron and Luis were cooking eggs. Jake was sitting at the island, scrolling on his phone. Aaron was wearing a gray hoodie, no beanie. I sat up, stretched, and looked at Aaron. "Thanks for the water last night," I said. Aaron looked at me over the frying pan, confused. "What water? I was asleep all night." I froze. I looked over at Jake. Jake shook his head. Luis shook his head. I slowly stood up and walked over to the kitchen island. The plastic water bottle was still sitting, exactly where I had left it. But in the daylight, I could see what I had missed in the dark. Pressed firmly into the condensation of the clear plastic were 3 thick, pitch-black fingerprints. It wasn't dirt. It was heavy, dark, industrial grease. The exact kind of grease you use to lubricate an old basement furnace. My stomach dropped into absolute ice. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. My hands were shaking. We needed to get everyone a picture of the grease before anyone touched it. I took a photo, hit the share button, and opened my AirDrop menu to send it to Jake. My phone searched the local network. It pinged. It found Jake's iPhone, and right below it, a second icon popped up. Host's iPad. I stared at the screen. Apple's proximity sensor uses ultra-wideband technology to tell you exactly how far away a device is. The numbers beneath the host's iPad shifted in real time. 12 feet, 10 feet, 8 feet. I looked down at the hardwood floor beneath my feet. 8 feet down. The heavy steel door at the end of the hallway, the one we thought was locked to protect us, was the only way down to the basement. We didn't pack our bags. We didn't grab our coats. We left our laptops on the counter, grabbed the truck keys, and bolted straight out the front door into the freezing snow. He hadn't broken into the cabin. He was living inside the bones of it. He stayed down in that freezing concrete utility space while we walked right above his head. When we cranked the surround sound and ran the hot tub jets, we weren't just having a good time. We were giving him the exact cover he needed to unlock that steel door and roam his own halls, completely undetected. I still don't know why he didn't hurt me in the kitchen. But the part that actually keeps me awake at night isn't the fact that he was standing in the dark. It's how casual he was. He didn't flinch when I spoke to him. He didn't panic. He just calmly slid that water bottle across the marble, turned his back on me, and walked away. He wasn't a panicked intruder. He was too comfortable, like he'd done this before. Next time you rent an isolated cabin in the woods of Oregon, go ahead and test the deadbolts. Pull the blinds. But before you go to sleep, open your phone and see exactly whose network you just logged into. Because a heavy lock only keeps the woods out. It doesn't help you if the stranger is already locked inside. If you've ever found something you shouldn't have in an Airbnb, I want to hear about it in the comments down below. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications to join the graveyard shift. We have a lot more dark roads to drive down.